Thank you very much for joining us here this evening. You're watching News Now. I'm Nivedna Prabhu. Let's begin with our top focus. Heavy rainfall has disrupted life across Delhi NCR with severe waterlogging and massive traffic jams, especially in Gurugram, where a 7-kilometer long snarl was reported. Now, thousands of commuters in one of India's wealthiest suburbs were stuck on roads for 6 to 8 hours due to rain-triggered traffic gridlock. Look at the visuals playing out on your screens. Now, that particular incident has sparked outrage online, with many questioning how a place like Gurugram, known for its futuristic skyscrapers and sprawling corporate offices, could have such poor infrastructure. But decoding this on the show tonight and joining me this evening is Suhel Seth, Managing Partner, Consulage India. Suhel, thank you very much for taking the time out and coming on the show this evening. On a lighter note to begin with, Suhel, I come from the city of Bengaluru, where people, of course, often joke that our traffic jams can perhaps last longer than some marriages. But looking at some of these visuals, beg your pardon, at Gurugram this week, it feels like, in a sense, talking about crumbling infrastructure, Gurugram has clearly outdone itself, because it's not just about the traffic gridlock. You're looking at a water theme park that's been paralyzed. And you also took to social media to talk about how, in a sense, this is also beating Kerala for a destination for backwaters.
I've had to find humor where there is so much of despair. Otherwise, we'll all go nuts. Gurugram is an international shame, and it happens to be part of the NCR. It is a shame on India's ambitions. It is a shame on our economy. It's a shame on who we want to be. It's a shame on this nonsense of $3 trillion, $4 trillion economy. Tell me, you have a situation where you don't even have decent sewage, proper drainage, proper dispersal of garbage. What kind of a city are you creating? And let me tell you, this is a BJP government, third term. Before that, the Congress. All of them have been absolute scoundrels when it comes to managing this city. They have used this city for furthering their war chests. They have made money from this city. And I'm not only blaming the politician, I'm sure builders are involved. I'm sure there is an unholy nexus of all these rascals, but no one gets caught. Who gets screwed? The citizen. There's an old saying, I don't know if you're a George Bernard Shaw fan, when whales fight, shrimps are eaten. We are the shrimps. We get eaten every day. If it's not the monsoon, it's the garbage. If it's not the garbage, it's the traffic. Is this the kind of India we want? Is this the kind of India we deserve? After we pay our goddamn taxes, after we live as law-abiding citizens, is there no shame? The problem here is shame has vanished from this country. Earlier, if you shamed these people, they would be goaded into action. Today, the Chief Minister of Haryana and his predecessor, ML Khattar, and his predecessor, whoever the hell that was, shameless. They have no shame. Khattar brought so much of ruin to this city, he's been promoted to the Union Cabinet. That tells you about priorities of this country. And what I'm amazed at is that I'm a great believer that the Prime Minister has his heart and vision in the right place. He is being let down. Every day he's talking about basics, human dignity, citizen welfare, citizen hygiene. And these jokers are doing everything right opposite of what he wants done. And I'm amazed that none of these people are being acted against. You have a bureaucracy that is absolutely in a shambles.
Accountability, right? Because you spoke about, I'm coming to that point, Suhel, that you have, in a sense, spoken about how accountability, and you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, it's the common man that continues to suffer. Like you've said, different situations as well. If it's not this, it's the traffic. If it's not that, it's the garbage. And then you have the whole AQI drama that will follow just in a couple of months as well. And in your words, in a sense, you have dubbed the administration a Mickey Mouse government. And in your view, while you're putting that into context, which I want to press upon, is who really deserves the blame more? Is it the political leaders who promised this world-class city, bureaucrats who failed to enforce the planning norms, or developers who have built without accountability? Because, of course, the base here is to find them accountable. But it seems like, right.
All of them. And Nivedana, I'll be honest with you, including the citizen. There are enough scoundrels within the citizenry who have bribed people to break the law. So why should the citizens be absolved of guilt or accountability? And I can tell you that everyone is going to suffer. the chap who is law abiding and the chap who is non law abiding, because the rains are not going to discriminate. Electrocution is not going to discriminate. And I'm asking you a simple question. You have 6 hospitals in Gurugram. What happened last night and what could have happened? I don't even know what actually happened. How many ambulances were stuck? How many people were deprived of emergency medical care? How many people couldn't go? You know, there's a very prominent marketing and television person who was in a hospital because of dengue, and, you know, his platelet counts had fallen. People who wanted to provide transfusion couldn't get to the hospital. I mean, they eventually did. But is this the kind of India we want? Is this the kind of India we deserve, where basic services are lacking? And I can understand if this was a 5,000-year-old city like Kashi. You've just about built Gurugram. You've talked about it being a smart city. It's the only smart city which is led by the most unsmart people on this goddamn planet. How difficult, you tell me, Nivedina, is it to produce or prepare or plan for effective drainage, for effective sewage, for the disposal of garbage? It isn't difficult. If the administration wants to do things, they can. It's the same IAS bloke who is doing it in Indore, who's doing it in Lucknow. Why can't they do it here? I'll tell you why. Because this is not a vote bank. And we elect these jokers time after time, even though they are absolutely miserably useless. So they don't care. See, the India that you and I want has changed. Today, the politician is there for power, not for people. When the equation moves from people to power, then it is absolute power at any cost. It is not about accountability. It is not about responsibility. And in the process, you're damaging the economy, you're damaging the economic investment climate, and you're damaging the
What I want to
economic
understand
comfort.
from you is, are Haryana politicians pandering to just rural voters, in a sense, if you were to look at it that way?
Absolutely. Gurugram is the golden goose or the golden hen or whatever the hell you call it. You know, they're making money from here, either through bribes or whatever the hell they do. And they're getting votes from elsewhere. But here I will also blame the citizen in Gurugram. You have kept voting for these same people time and time again, knowing their miserable track record. But then again, the question is, who's going to be better? Do you choose the worst of the evils or the better of the two evils? Therein lies the question. So I'm not being pessimistic. I'm saying there are still solutions. The Supreme Court can still take suo motu action. The Punjab and Haryana High Court can still take suo motu action. Citizens' lives have been destroyed. People have died owing to electrocution. Daily wages can't earn an honorable day's wage. So the point I'm making is there are still ways to sort this out. But this has become an annual rant. Every year when the monsoon hits, when people get messed up, then we have these programs on television. Then we have social media outrage. Where do we go? What do we do? Do you actually expect me to go and beat up some people? A, I'm not the type. B, I don't have the skill set. So all we can do is raise these and speak truth to power. But when power doesn't bother, when power doesn't listen, then you replace accountability with arrogance, and that's where the problem is. That's the real issue.
Talking about that, Suhel, in another nutshell, if you were to look at it, given you're absolutely right, there is outrage, and rightly so. If you were to be stuck in a traffic jam for 7 to 8 hours, this is unfortunately the story of every urban city today, and clearly India deserves better. But since we were talking about how this happens every year and there is no accountability, we find ourselves yet again sitting here and discussing that. If you were to look at it in one vantage point as well, are they perhaps waiting for, unfortunately, the middle class to get out with their morchas, and probably only then is going to be hurt? Because we know what we're in for every year.
You live, I don't know where you live now, probably Bombay. See what happened to Bombay with that protester. And you had an army of people walk in, protest, mess up the city. There is zero accountability. So my view is it's not about the middle class or the upper class or the less privileged. It is an anathema which has afflicted all of India. We have gotten used to terrible standards. We are fine with misery. The Indian today is comfortable being miserable. That is the big issue. The Indian today is comfortable being screwed around with. The Indian today is comfortable with the politician and the bureaucrat trampling all over him or her. That is the problem. Until and unless we express grave discomfort, nothing will change. They have to be told that they are accountable, that they are public servants. They're not the masters of yore. And until and unless you tell them that, nothing will change. These are a bunch of self serving scoundrels who are making money at your cost and my cost, at the cost of the taxpayer. And they need to be shown the light or shown the door. If we can't show them the door electorally, then courts need to intervene. That's the only solution that I think is left. You have to have demonstrable punishment. There is no other way out. Nice talk, pleading with these jokers will not help.
Because that never has, right? And which is why we find ourselves in this situation. I absolutely agree with you, Suhel. But the visuals as well, just to go back to what has really transpired last night and for our viewers to get a better sense of that, which we'll continue to play on our screens. Looking at these visuals of residents, citizens being stuck at that NH48 and Golf Course Road that clearly went viral. But how do you weigh the human cost of these repeated mismanagements? And why do you think, despite how you've, of course, spoken about the current governance, the previous governance, we're failing our people, despite warnings and prior incidents? Because when we're talking about rain, we do know that the IMD does say that, this is what we're in, going in terms of the season and how bad it's going to be.
So let's be optimistic for a change. Let's imagine that this is going to happen repeatedly, as it will. Monsoons will come year after year unless we really bugger up the climate. Where is the planning process? Where is demonstrable punishment for errant citizens? Because as I told you, Nivedita, even the citizen is responsible many a time. How are we moving forward with the planning process? The problem in India is we plan post facto or de facto. We never plan ipso facto or pre facto. We never plan in advance. We are like the Flintstone cops, where everything is bolted after, the cops arrive after the horses have bolted. The point I'm making is, today India has some excellent minds, young people who are willing to create and use technology to solve urban problems. The Prime Minister, in a well-amplified speech, even talked about the fact that we will use technology to sort out urban issues. But where are we using them? We are not. Even today, I'm ashamed that I live in a country where even to this day, you have night soil workers. This is the tragedy. This is the human cost. And no one is saying anything. No one is doing anything. And the other problem is...
In fact, Suhel, as you talk about how tragic this is and how the citizens continue to suffer, sorry to have interjected you there. Suhel, I'm going to come back to you. But before I do, just for our viewers also to get a quick understanding of how bad the traffic situation was and how it was handled as well. Times Network's Kritika, in fact, spoke with the Gurugram traffic DSP. Let's listen into that. And then I go back to Suhel to continue our conversation.
Yesterday, we received 570 plus distress calls. So, because people were stuck in various places, so we responded to all of them. And we were able to remove approximately 288 plus vehicles which were breakdown. So there was a problem. So, but we responded to all those distress calls and ensured that the congestion should be resolved as fast as possible. The point is that, as I have already told you, till the time traffic vehicles keep on moving, the jam would not be there. Right. So the problem happens when vehicle stops. Vehicle can stop due to obstruction or maybe some fault in the vehicle itself. So because of rainfall, what happens? The number of lanes gets reduced. Service lanes get flooded, and the only limited space is available for the movement of vehicles. So and plus there is also some psychological aspect to it also, that the vehicle drivers say they don't know if there is water, how much deep the water is. Right. So what we do is we send our traffic personnel and they get into the water to show them if there's the knee, if it's below the knee. So then this encourages them to move the vehicles. Right. So the main reason of traffic congestion yesterday was because of the timing. The rainfall happened at the same time when the people were moving out of the offices to their homes.
So, in fact, we heard what he had to say. That is Rajesh Mohan, the Gurugram DCP traffic. But he's also spoken about how there was a mismatch in coordination between the GMD, the traffic police, and the Gurugram municipality as well. And he's also stated that there's scope for improvement. You know, and why I ask you this is because you've been very vocal with that situation that transpired, that the only people from the administration working in Gurugram were the cops, and how the traffic cops have been outstanding, and you've given them credit where it's due.
Now, you tell me, what faith will you have in an administration where its own arms can't be in sync? This is how stupidly myopic and irresponsible these jokers are. You know, out of politeness, I can't use stronger language, but I wish I could and you could beep it. But this is what we have come to. Now, here you have a senior officer of the police force telling you that the jokers in the municipality and in the GMDA had no clue. They still don't, by the way. Nothing has changed. All of them are masters at optics. They will tell you, I'll give you an example. The first time when I screwed them on television, this is at an event where I said Gurugram is a national shame. I started getting calls from the administration. One joker who calls me, very senior IS officer, tells me, oh, I've done this. I told him, A, I'm not marrying you, so I don't need your CV. B, I don't really care about your accomplishments. Show me what you will do. From then, July 18 till now, the guy's done nothing. All talk. Why? Because they're not accountable. The member of parliament, some chap called Rao Inderjeet Singh, has thrown up his hand saying the Haryana government doesn't listen to me. They're from the same party. Then there's a chap called Narbir Singh. These are all Mr. Indias. They are there, but they're invisible. Now you tell me, what are we supposed to do? Invent Casper's ghost to help Gurugram? Sometimes I wonder, my only recourse is to literature and humor, because otherwise we'll be dead. You know, I mean, what do? I'm glad we built the Ram Temple in Ayodhya. I'm really glad we built the Ram Temple.
Because Suhel, what you said is the Indians now are comfortable being miserable, and that's unfortunate.
This country owes a debt of gratitude to Lord Ram. We've been Ram Bharose for too long. This is the time to thank the Lord. I'm glad we built that temple, because everything is Ram Bharose. These guys aren't working. If you live and if you're able to survive Gurugram, thank the Lord that evening, no matter which Lord you worship.
Then you can survive anything. Like they say on a lighter note, Suhel, before we wrap up, they say in Bengaluru, if you can survive the Silk Board Junction traffic and now the Gurugram rain, then I think you've figured out life. But Suhel, I have to thank you for joining us on the show this evening. I'm afraid we're running short of time.
A traffic snarl would get you dead. So don't worry about marriage.
All right, Suhel. Thank you very much on that note for joining us this evening. We leave it at that for the moment. Appreciate you taking the time out and sharing with us your perspective.